Holy shit, a spider on my mic.
No.
Holy.
Nate, are you okay?
Yeah,
Are you there?
I'm like sitting looking at my mic, and all of a sudden off the crest of the back of the mic as I'm staring down the barrel, a spider climbs over it.
What the heck?
Luckily I have napkins nearby. Wisconsin, man.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I had spiders in Virginia too. Is there anything crawling around in your basement that is...
Yeah, there's a goddamn mouse in here somewhere.
Nice.
And it's not hungry for jelly or cheese or peanut butter.
You've got separate traps of separate treats?
No, I'm not. I've been doing the same treat. That's a good idea, though.
Okay. You wonder, like, are they evolving? Are they ever going to just realize, like, hey, that's literally a trap? Do they get smarter?
Until they develop oral history. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because you got to tell one another about it. Well, you have to live to tell the...
Live to tell.
Tail, mouse tail.
Snappy, no good.
Yeah. All right, well, Nate got bit by a radioactive podcast spider, so we're going to get started here.
Tyler, our last recording was mid Gamer Awards, and we don't have anything special going on tonight. We're just two guys at mics that like video games. But at the end of that, there was a supposed announcement of a patch for Ep.3 for the Steam Deck specifically.
Yeah, baby, it's verified now.
Right. What is the verdict? Have you noticed anything?
Good. Mostly, it's I would call it 95% there.
Steam Deck's good.
Clair Obscur Ep.3, our game for Season 3 of the podcast, Hero with 1,000 Potions, with your hosts, Tyler.
And Nate. Hello, I am Nate. Does that work?
That really did sound like automated voice, was it?
Well, you get legit automated voices nowadays with the whole AI thing. That's an automated voice from like 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Some OK Computer shit.
Yeah.
Fitter, happier.
More productive.
Carry on.
Enough about Radiohead. We're here to talk about Clair Obscur episode. Oh my God. Ep.33. Got to the Indigo Tree last episode. Defeated the boss there. And now there's nobody here.
This was the planned rendezvous point.
Yeah, the planned rendezvous point. And we don't know how many of the expedition are still alive. And the ones that are alive, we don't know how many of them made it or trying to make it to the Indigo Tree. But there is a note. It reads that someone took Mael to, quote, flying waters. Head north, look for a door inside a hut. But the writer does not leave their name. And Lune thinks this is really suspicious and supposes that it's a trap, but Gustav reads this as a lead and tries to reason Luze out of expedition conduct. Expedition protocol, because the plan is to meet, stay, gather, and then we'll move together. But having experienced what we did at the beach, Gustav's argument is, well, the expectations have changed, and it's time to maybe go on our gut rather than protocol.
I also think that Gustav's reasoning here is pretty sound, because she's like, it could be a trap, it could be this, yada yada. And
you said Gustav, I think you meant Lune.
No, I think Gustav's reasoning is sound, because she's saying it could be a trap, but I'm like, the dude that killed everybody, he don't need to lay no traps. He'd just walk up to you and slice your head off immediately, right?
Spooky.
So I don't think he's like stroking his chin hairs, oddly gray chin hairs, and thinking, how am I going to pull them into my web of lies and deceit? No, he's just going to tap his cane on the ground and then cut your head off. It seems like more genuine to me. Hey, new plan. This all went to shit, and that Gustav's kind of pulling on the right thread here. So he kind of lays out the ultimatum, because Lune's all about protocol. So another protocol is don't travel alone. So it's like, pick which one you want to break, because I'm leaving either way. You can either be alone, which is against protocol, or you can leave the rallying point, the other protocol. And so she relents and follows Gustav.
Follows Gustav where, Nate?
The overworld.
Oh my God, it's an overworld.
A world map of sorts.
Fantastic. I was so elated to see little figures of our characters. Not that little, but we're definitely looking down from hundreds of feet up, and we can cross the countryside. If you hit a button, a larger, let's just say world map or continent map, I suppose, for this game, most of it is obscured by clouds, and you can kind of path the screen around to see just get a sense of the scope of the continent, and it looks very, very big to me.
Mm-hmm.
Fog of War colors most of it, of course, and I expect it'll open up as you enter other zones. What we've learned is that the game is organized into, or at least so far, is organized into a world map with zones that you plug into, and as you visit them, you'll open up that the clouds will part over that area of the world map.
Nice.
Right now, we appear to be at some peninsula sticking out into the ocean.
And it's kind of like a mix of the old school classic world maps, which, I mean, for all intents and purposes, most old 90s RPGs didn't have a ton of gameplay. It was a matter of walk from town to next town for the most part in many of those games. This is kind of that, but also there's a lot of like interactable items, loot to get. I formed a bridge by interacting with something that made my path more convenient after the fact. And then we even kind of trigger a cutscene from the world map as well, not by entering a town or another section. We just go to a little reprieve there. So it's kind of like almost still half a game, you know? And the way you see mobs and can do that little burst to initiate combat, it's not a full just removal from your typical gameplay conventions, which I like. I like still having little fun things to do on the world map.
I feel the same, Nate.
Also, combat in this game is just dang fun to the point where I'm fighting things more than I need to. After that cutscene, they respawned all the mobs. I was like, ooh, more things to kill. Why not?
Yeah, it is fun. I agree. I can't wait to learn more about how you're building out your party. Let's talk about that a little later, though. So we plunge partway through, as far as we can get, into the overworld, and Lune insists on resting. It's evening, we build a fire, and we have a scene in which Gustav and Lune are having this, I want to say, I don't know how to describe it exactly. Things are quieting, and they're trying to have an honest conversation about next steps.
Taking inventory of their thoughts, perhaps.
Yeah, that's good phrasing. Thank you, Nate. Lune feels like she's at fault for the massacre at the beach. She says she convinced Alan, the expedition leader that got his head chopped off, to land there, to land the expedition ship there. But he says it's not your fault. Gustav doesn't want to rest long, but Lune encourages him to be more careful. Gustav can't wait one more second without Mael. He's very, very anxious to go, but Lune, calmer, weighing more factors, I think, is trying to say, no, let's do this planfully, carefully. That man at the beach, you saw his face. He must be, 50, 60? We don't know what we're dealing with, says Gustav. Lucien died to save me, and Tristan and Margot, they all... I am not letting Mael die out there. I am taking her home. And that crosses a line with Lune. Things are heating up. You can't take her home because, well, we're committed to the expedition. Expeditioners don't go home. Nate, do expeditioners go home?
No, they pave the trail for the next one.
Where one falls, we continue. And Gustav says, well, you can't take her home, we'll fuck the mission. And Lune underscores the motto with different emphasis. When one falls, not when, if. Just like you said. Mael swore the same oath. She chose her life. We always said the future of Lumiere is more important than a single life. Do you still believe that? She hits him with it twice, Nate. No, 3 times. Do you still believe that?
We always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that?
I guess so. You can't deny 3 times. You're like St. Peter.
Yeah, he's like St. Peter. That's funny. After a long pause, a long pregnant pause, I hope I do.
I hope I do.
The adrenaline drains out of our characters here, and laughing a little bit, Lune goes, fuck the mission? Really? And Gustav chuffs and says, sorry. Ever charming, our Gustav is, even when he's kind of losing his shit.
We're getting tapped into like a level of camaraderie that really the game hasn't allowed us to see up to this point. Because yes, everyone knows each other. Everyone's a member of the expedition. And if these two were just constantly arguing throughout the whole thing of we're at the meeting tree and she's saying, I want to stay, and he's saying, I want to go. And then we're now here and they're arguing again. This ability for him to sway him and to kind of identify this thing of she's effectively saying you're losing your mind or you're getting way too heated over this.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. It shows that they have a connection that transcends kind of disagreement, and they have the ability to kind of right now, maybe it's one-sided, but like pull someone back from the brink. Because kind of we're seeing Gustav panicking more so than any other members we've had a significant amount of time with his like panic attack sessions he's had.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion on this kind of exchange here, I also, again, don't think Lune is right, because Mael is effectively a child soldier, which we determined earlier. And from that discussion at the dock, we kind of know like she's got all this teen angst and emotion, because Gustav points out like, hey, you have lots of friends and people that care about you. And she's like, no, I don't. What are you talking about? And like, you're the only one that matters. And so she's doing that thing where she's not entirely rational as a teenager about her circumstances, and that maybe you might be in better shape to make this journey later and be of use to the expedition as a even more capable, more trained adult, thinking adult thoughts and making adult decisions. But she's here. And I personally think that it's a mistake to have brought her. But I mean, the plot with her, I'm going to assume she kind of has main character status from everything I've seen, to where she will be carried through in the plot. That's just something in this medium that you can kind of assume, except if your name's Aerith, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, like, she technically chose this. It's like, that's why we don't let children choose things, why they have parents, is because they don't make great decisions. And especially if they're teenagers, they make very rash and momentary decisions. Anyway, but then I had this, as I was thinking all of this, I was like, wait a second, child soldier. That is very Final Fantasy VIII. So we're back on that train with thinking this is the creator of the game's favorite game is Final Fantasy VIII.
You should put up Mael in her expedition suit against Selphie with her Dalit invasion outfit.
Yeah, the student uniform.
See what it looks like.
Right. And also we have this thing called the Children's Crusade, which is kind of like the poster child of, that's weird, that's redundant. The poster of don't let kids do stuff. Let the adults make those horrible decisions.
This camp area we're in has a function, an in-game function. We can do normal rest stuff here. There's a 33 standard in the ground. We didn't cover this in prior episodes, but each checkpoint where you can rest up and restore your tints, your potions, each of those are marked by a flag, a battle standard with a different expedition number on it. This one happens to be 33. Well, this is our expedition, isn't it? At the campfire, there's a menu you can go to sleep, remember current objective, which I expect is probably pretty similar to what pops up in your HUD menu, your field menu, and write in the Journal of Gustav's Apprentices. Nate, did you write in the Journal of Gustav's Apprentices?
Sure did.
What did you think about it?
It's interesting. There's this game called Ghost of Tsushima, where if you go to hot springs, there's a chance for him to like reflect on certain topics about his life and kind of reiterate what it means to him.
Wow.
And then there's also these scenic locations where you can kind of soak up the surrounding area and write haikus about it.
Really?
Very, very Japanese, very cool. But it kind of reminded me of that, where it's like he's kind of sitting down, looking off into the scenery in a calm, contemplative space to reflect, say like, what about this is the most important thing to share with, again, those who come after. He's paving the way, not just physically, but through knowledge and memories.
The text goes, Gustav finds a spot where he can be alone. He spends some time writing in his journal. He writes about how dangerous the Neverons are, but how beautiful the continent is. He hopes that one day his apprentices will read everything he wrote. For those who come after, he hollers, and then Gustav heads back. The bit about he hopes that one day his apprentices will read everything he wrote really twists at me inside, because I have this horrible feeling that Gustav is going to be the one paving the way for those that come after, and that we know that we've established that the apprentices are like an analog for children, or how he lives on, if not genetically, but through your will and your conduct and your behaviors and what you want to see for the next generation. And he's recording his adventures, and I have a feeling that this isn't just a tender moment, but it's going to be part of the emotional core of the whole adventure in a really consequential way. I have this, and I'm excited about it, but I'm sickened with fear for what might befall Gustav, if anything does. I don't have much evidence for that. We can talk more about that later in the episode when there's maybe more circumstantial evidence for that. But right now I go, oh, I mean, this is so pretty, but oh dear.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
We're going to harken back to a Xenoblade. I had to remember which word to put at the end of Xeno. A Xenoblade season where years ago when we were doing a game we had not yet played, instead of 2 games that we had already played, we would make wild theories about what's going to come, what potential scenes you're going to see. I talked about drills in buttholes. With that, after writing this journal scene, I have in my head this image of we finish the game and like the final scene plays out or the credits roll or something. And then all of a sudden, let's say the whole credits go by and then there's like some sort of last line, which is like a writing or a poem or something signed. And then it shifts or fades or like turns to being in the last page of a journal and someone closes it, battered and bloodstained or whatever. And it's like one of these apprentice kids. Now, I have no idea how this game's going to play out or anything. I've not spoiled one bit. I've meticulously not spoiled this game, but this is just me guessing. The kid is going to be 60, which means we somehow save the day, right? No more gamages. The kid's going to be like 60, and he's going to be reading Gustav's journal, and everything we did as playing the game was imagining what the contents of this journal might have looked like if he was in his shoes.
I am smelling what you're cooking big time.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a tattered journal with some like sticky brown coagulated blood stains on the cover.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Terrified. Back to the overworld, Nate. I only noticed one other place that you could pop your head into, Abest Cave. Nate, did you go to Abest Cave?
They warned me not to go in, so I didn't go in.
They were right to warn you. I think if you really committed yourself to it, you could get something out of it. And maybe I should and turn around, but there's an elite in there called the Chromatic Abest, and he will one-shot you and then some. That said, if you were good at quick time events, maybe you take no damage at all and you reap the rewards of it. I didn't do that. I thought, okay, you kick my shit in pretty hard. I'm going to go somewhere else. So I went to Flying Waters. The zone is accessible between giant pink corals, and it's lovely. It's a zone where we walk along the bottom of an alien lake. We're not buoyant. We don't swim. We walk at the bottom like we walked anywhere else in this game. And there's a big alien whale that looms overhead, and a curious cuttlefish gets close to Lune in the establishing cinematic as we enter the zone. And it is a wildly different place than we've seen before, and kind of demonstrative of the weirdness we should expect from more of the world. If they're hitting us with this and on our second hostile zone of gameplay, beach notwithstanding, makes you wonder, oh God, what else is out there, right?
Right. My brain's like, somehow I have this need to understand, especially when playing video games, what elements of this are actually happening in the video game and what elements are a gameplay convenience of sorts. And this is all happening here. They go to great lengths to explain like what's happening around you, but my brain still wants to wrap around something I can understand. So we are in water. Like there's no other way to go about. We're underwater in an ocean, and that we just kind of like walked into it. There was never a point where we see them crossing a barrier of, oh, I'm wet now, I'm in water. You just are suddenly in.
Yeah, exactly.
A flying ocean just in the middle, and not a bubble of water. It's just you suddenly pass existence into something else. But our characters don't breathe with bubbles. They breathe fine. They don't have an air limit. Their voices aren't muffled. You're not hearing any water distortion of their voices. Gravity and movement are full speed, and you jump just as high. You don't jump less. You don't jump higher. You can't swim. And they aren't wet either when they pass into different areas. Almost like there's an illusion layered on top of their normal existence. And it's super trippy to wrap your head around. And the geometry of everything is very real. Like all of the corals and rocks, watery things happen. Like you said, the fish swimming around them are real. They interact with them, yet they aren't bound by the limitations of being water people. They are bound by their set of rules of their reality. super interesting way to handle this.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was great. Fantastic. It's a really cool zone, and I can't wait to see more. Right away, Gustav recognizes that some stony corpses in the area. And when I say stony, we're going back to the sensation the sense we're getting that when expeditioners pass in the continent, their chroma petrifies them, or when it's extracted, what's left of them is this statue of themselves or something like that. He recognizes them as expeditioners from Expedition 68, Elodie's expedition. Gustav knows that the boat that they were on was blown up into the air, and that was the last that anyone heard from them back on Lumiere.
And it was in the same area. There's an expeditioner who's like pinned up against a rock face with a giant anchor exploding their head or something. There's no head.
Good God.
They're stuck to the wall with the anchor smashed into where their head would be, and dangling arms and feet of stone underneath. But then the anchor looks like it has that same aesthetic of the expedition, black steel with gilded gold trim around it. Is this the anchor to their ship, not like an enemy's weapon per se? And then also walking around this area, I see puddles of water on the ground in the underwater zone. This is where my brain officially gives up completely. I'm just like, okay, I'm out. I'm not going to try to make sense of this anymore. There's actively a puddle of water on the ground, separate from the water I am in. I'm done.
About a room later, we find a paint cage. This is a treasure box that unlocks after you find 3 locks and shoot them. Tyler, the dum-dum that he is looking for locks on the cage itself. And the cage doesn't look like a bird cage or a dog kennel. It's this swirling mass of black brushstroke energy that's ambiently, chaotically washing over this item that we're looking for. And Nate, if you can imagine it, I've got Gustav pointing his pistol at, I'm shadowboxing the random noise of this animation at point blank range and losing.
I did not have that problem, but I also have the recent benefit of playing the Metroid Prime 4 game. And kind of lightly revisiting the Metroid Prime Remastered on Switch as well. And they do this thing where you have a door to unlock and you're in a room, and every room is kind of its own little sequestered thing by another door. You know, it's this bite-sized little puzzle in and of itself. And so there's like a force field you have to drop. Samus, the character of Metroid, scans things and gets information out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you need to scan the 4 locks. The 4 locks are going to be all over this fucking room, hidden under someone's desk and tucked up behind a lampshade. I don't know. There's no lampshades in Metroid, but you get the idea. And so you're like looking through every nook and cranny for these damn things. And I've gotten like frustratingly locked at some points of just this, can't find the last one. And then like after a half hour, you just like, it's sitting right there, right in front of your fucking face. And you're like, God, I'm stupid. What am I doing? So Metroid prepped me for this moment of when they said, you got to shoot the 3 locks. My first thought was, oh yeah, they're hidden all over the area.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah, that's right. This one has a chroma elixir, which restores health out of combat, which if that's true, then what I said a handful of minutes ago about tints being refreshed. No, yeah, tints do still refresh it. Forget that. We're moving on. The Nevrons that we're fighting in this zone are nautical in orientation. They're wearing diving bells. They look like, what do they call them in BioShock 2? Big Brothers.
Damn. Ding for a BioShock reference there, by the way. That'll come up later.
They're Nautilus from League of Legends. They're those types, but different forms of those types. There's a heavy, there's one that's holding a mine, like kind of like a balloon, but when it swings it, you sure as shit feel its force. There's a very speedy one with spikes for hands. Pretty cool.
But also, these guys all obey the rules of being underwater, Tyler.
Yes, they do. They do float or, yeah. I'm sure they're in their animations, they make like whooshing, watery, sloshing sounds when they strike too.
Yeah.
Sure as shit, we find a door in a hut. It's gilded. It's not made out of wet planks of wood. It's very unlike its surroundings. Gustav opens the door and we both get like magically sucked into it and we disappear. And we reappear in the manor. A giant gilded palace.
Like marble, obsidian, and gold.
Art Deco.
Basically sharing the same design aesthetic of the expedition, kind of weirdly enough.
Great Gatsby, chic.
Yes.
Yeah, you feel like Leonardo DiCaprio in a tux is going to throw those doors open and raise a martini at you.
Because that's all I see too. I see the glass raised and the smile and the pomp of it all.
Mm-hmm. I am so disoriented in this moment. I feel like the man from the beach is going to drop in out of nowhere and like lecture me some nefarious crap, but it never happens. Like, welcome, Gustav. I've been waiting for you.
Well, you've made it this far.
So you've made it this far. Not bad, girl.
Calm down, Chief.
Yes, but he's not there. Well, I mean, not in this scene at least. I'm not saying he is there or we will ever see him, but I don't see him now, and not since I've left the place. The place is packed with long, giant halls that all terminate into locked doors. Nate, did you find any door that you can go through besides the one that advances the plot?
No, and in my desire to never go the correct direction, because I want to get everything.
Yes.
I want to 100% things. If I see something that looks like the right way to go, I should not go that way. So I did indeed check every single door, because the actual door you're supposed to use has lighting and suggestion that it is absolutely the final way to go for our purposes now.
I have a feeling it's going to be our hub.
It's going to transcend space and time and be everywhere.
Yeah, well, sure, why not? Yeah, it could be like, I mean, I've played with lots of love and thanks for my 3-year-old. I've played lots of Chrono Trigger in the last handful of months, and the End of Time had a lot of portals to go to all different places, and I feel like I'm appropriating that sense there. Are there as many doors as there are zones to pass through, or important zones to pass through? I have no idea. Another theory I have about this place is that it could be some sort of trophy room in a gamer sense. I don't have I'm speaking about this abstractly because I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but I can see how once you've accomplished something, it reflects that achievement behind those doors in some way, even if a door is fundamentally a portal from point A to point B, magically or not. But yeah, there's got to be a reason that they're all there, but
I feel you.
I don't know just yet.
Have you seen Howl's Moving Castle?
Been ages. It's been ages.
He's got the little thing he switches and on top of the door frame, and it changes when you walk out the door. You're walking into a different place it's connected to based on the little switch on the door frame. So maybe, like you're saying, there is going to be a version of the house in every zone, but when you walk through the door, it's the same house every time. We'll see. It's a lot of work to put it into place for the very little amount of time we spend here.
Agreed. We find Mael in one of the side rooms. She's staring at a picto. They hug, but it's kind of weird at first. Mael wonders if you're real, if Gustav is real. She sees him, and then she loosens up. Well, you smell real enough. Ha, no I don't, says Gustav. That diffuses the tension, kind of like the fuck the expedition, really? comment from the prior scene.
Right.
Which is nice. I like that you can build and break tension kind of casually. I think the writing's fantastic. Gustav apologizes for not saving her sooner, and she consoles him. Of course, she's pretty mature and comfortable and understanding in some ways that Gustav is lacking himself. But she doesn't remember how she got here, but recognizes that a neutral Nevron named the Curator has been looking after her since she's arrived.
Okay, so he's a Nevron, which we've seen some pretty freaky looking Nevrons going on here. But this is a human with ears, seemingly has the frame of like a male. He has a hole in his face, like punched in, cracked, bashed in hole in his face, and it emits the sound of like this unknown, cavernous, like aching. If a world had groans, that would be the sound coming out of him right now. The other really interesting thing is red flower petals and black smoke emanate from him as if he's like experiencing a constant gamage of some sort. I don't know if you noticed that as well.
I haven't. I haven't noticed the petals at least.
Yeah, those little like red, I don't know if they were roses or if we identified them as some other kind of flower, but they were like wafting off of him. And then lastly, and I might just be getting real conspiracy brained here, but there's a shot where we're like looking over his shoulder and we're also looking at Gustav. And they both have over their left shoulder like a cloak / cowl combination they're wearing, where the cowl is obviously down. We see Gustav's lush mane there. But the curator Nevron is wearing not the exact same cloak, but he's wearing the same styled cloak hanging off his left shoulder and then kind of falling off his back in that direction. And I'm like, I don't know if that's just coincidence, like a design thing, hey, like all the characters in Dragon Ball Z look the same. Maybe a lot of characters in this game will have left shoulder cloaks, we'll come to find. But right now I'm like, that looks weird. I don't know what I'm supposed to think about that. So very interesting. They also ask, what is he? And Miles says, I'm not sure. He doesn't really talk. But later, we'll like in moments from now, we'll find out he makes just weird noises and we instinctively understand what he's saying. So that's kind of crazy. But that also happened with the Nevron, with the lamppost thing that we lit in the earlier chapter.
Yes.
He didn't speak words, and yet we knew what he wanted. They gave him subtitles. So I don't know what's up with that.
I think it's just a development thing. I mean, it's cheaper to make groans or synthetic sounds rather than higher talent, I suppose.
Either that or they have like psychic communication of they don't talk, but yet you know what they mean. So that's what that's gonna be my theory, and you can have the development theory for now.
Or they're mixing proper speaking with, how do I put this, yabba dabba doing or banjo kazooieing, or people just making like blah 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 blah, and you like infer what their voices or the inflection or the dialect of their English.
Like the teacher from Charlie Brown, is it?
Yes, probably the OG example.
Yeah.
Can I upgrade your weapons?
Somewhere in the middle, maybe.
Yeah.
Lastly, I'm going to point out here that Mael seems so shocked to see Gustav. Are you real? Is it really you? And then also she has this connection with the curator that seems somewhat deep, like they have a bond of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
How long has she been in here? Because I would wager from the beach, we went to the tree. It was kind of late then. We got out to the world map. We camped. I would think, aren't we on day 2 of this? Maybe day 3 of the expedition? It can't be that long that she was in there. So is there some sort of time distortion happening here? I'm wondering.
I don't know. The hand Nevrons on the beach maybe through 3 people in 3 different directions, inclusive of Lune, of course, and others that we probably haven't met yet. The curator also seems like he's been training Mael as well, because we can fight him if we please. And fighting him is our tutorial for Mael's kit. She joins the party. Before getting into the kit, the fight also teaches us about jump skills, a party-wide combat reaction to something that they have to physically get out of the way from. In most examples I think we've seen so far are like shockwaves.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through this really quick here. Mael's different skills change her battle stance. She has 3 different stances. When she goes into a defensive stance, she takes less damage and earns AP for parries and dodges. In offensive stance, she deals and takes more damage. And the third is virtuous stance, where she simply deals even more damage. Switching stances earns Mael AP. And we get a hint of strategy when pop-up appears that says, switch between stances without interruption to maximize her skills' effects. Those skills the starter skills are offensive switch, low physical damage, and switches you to offensive mode. Spark, which is low fire damage, applying 3 burn, and switches you to defensive stance. And Pierce, which looks like a Franco version of the word pierce. She is swinging like a fencing sword, like an EP, right? Which does low physical damage, but the target takes increased damage, and it switches you to defensive stance. It says low physical damage. I feel like it's high physical damage. I've been using it for like executes personally. I'll have to double check my note on that. But what do you think about Mael so far, Nate? in combat.
It's pretty great, pretty interesting and unique to use. You know the meme with like the woman looking confused with all the numbers flashing around her head? That's me.
The woman?
Yeah, it's like a middle-aged
No,
woman.
I know. It's one of the most famous actresses on the planet.
Who is it?
You say who is it? It's
God
damn it, Nate.
Hold on. I'm gonna make sure we're looking at the same person. Woman confused math meme. All right, yeah, there we go. I do not recognize this actress.
Julia Roberts.
It is?
I think so.
That's Julia Roberts? What? Okay.
I think so.
Hold on. I'm sending you this picture to make sure to verify we're talking about the same woman.
Yeah, sometimes you see Zach Galifianakis. Yeah, isn't that Julia Roberts?
I guess I see it. That doesn't read as her to me.
Well, yeah, I guess the lips are a little thinner in the meme.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I always thought it was, and if I'm wrong, it's fine. I don't actually care.
No, nobody's saying confused mathematician known in Brazil as Nazara Confusa. Hold on. I'm looking this up. Shows Brazilian actress Renata Sora. So no, Tyler.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that kind of cut out for me on my, can you give me a stronger, harder, no.
What was that?
That's what I was telling you about. It's here.
Sherry, wait!
But that is me. I'm the confused math lady when looking at, once you get more abilities in Mael's kit, it's not a straightforward ordeal. She has a lot of different things she can do. And also when you couple it with the fact that like Lune is also my burn person, Lune can be doing some of the setup for Mael's stances without Mael having to walk through the full rotation of applying burn, right? So there's some real weird stuff that you can do, and it's pretty interesting. And then there's another one that like does crazy damage if the target is marked, but right now Gustav's the only one with a marking ability. So, I mean, there's interplay between characters going on in her kit. It's crazy. I love it, but I'm also like, okay, wait a second. Stop. Gotta think.
You gotta think. Gotta meme. It's funny you say that because I did use Percier on targets that were marked by Gustav, and if you do that while Mael is in Virtuous Stance, and I can't remember exactly, but maybe they have to be burning as well, you get an in-game achievement.
Right. Yeah, I think I got that too.
Nice. So we leave the manse. We go back to Flying Waters. Nailed it, didn't say falling. And we meet Noko, a little brush creature that Mael is already familiar with. He'll battle you as a requisite to access his store. I mean, he's a merchant, but you can unlock more things to buy if you battle him. Lune is absolutely enamored with him. She says, if this thing exists, perhaps the Grandis and the Esquier exist too. Are there more Gestrals like you? I'd love to meet them. And Noko says, maybe. We're bandying about a lot of vocabulary words we haven't heard very much of. I don't know what a Gestral is. It sounds like it's rooted etymologically in the word gesture. Gesture, paintbrush, use a hand to wave your paint. I don't know if there's some sort of analog to painting and hands and creation and life that we're applying to this word or concept or family of species called Gestrals, but we're dipping a toe into that world now. Don't have an idea what Grandis or Esquier is. Maybe those are species of Gestrals. We can only guess, and we don't even have straight answers when we get to the end of this, of Flying Waters here. What are Gestrals? Non-hostile species of paintress creations? I suppose we'll find out, but we're not going to know now. Noko says there is a sea between here and the paintress and wonders how we expect to cross it. We don't have any idea about that, and Mael appeals to his ego and says, I bet, Noko, you're so smart. I bet you have the solution, or have a solution in mind that we wouldn't figure out on our own. And he says, ask Golgra. Chief knows. Whatever Golgra, or excuse me, Chef knows. Whatever Golgra or Chef is, we can find it or them in the ancient sanctuary, another zone, possibly. We'll know we've found it when we're surrounded by red trees. And then we return to the gameplay where a prompt appears that says, Gestral merchants travel across the world offering rare and powerful artifacts in exchange for chroma. However, you can unlock a merchant's additional inventory of more powerful items if you defeat them in battle. Already covered that. I'm just reading my note. This one sells chroma catalysts and color of chroma, neither of which I feel like I need right now. Oh, and battling Noko is a one-on-one. And he gets giant. He spends his first turn growing 10 times his size.
I bash him.
I brought Lune. She smoked him.
I brought Gustav, and we have another freeze frame of him overcharging somebody in the face as like he has a deeper voice too when he enlarges. When you meet him, he's like
Yes.
when he is giant, you smack him, he's like and so my battle ends with this freeze frame of me overcharged fisting someone in the head, and then just the sound of
Fantastic, Nate.
pretty good.
When you defeat him, his special inventory is a picto called Exposing Attack, which grants speed, crit, and its Lumina passive is basic attacks apply defenseless for 1 turn, which, again, defenselessness means they take 25% more damage. But we're not done yet, Nate. In fact, we've only scratched the surface of Flying Waters. I wonder if all of the zones are going to go in this pattern where we enter a zone, we have an orientation moment, we pass through part of it, there's a non-hostile area in the center of it, or about a third the way through, because that's kind of consistent with getting to the bloody tree where Gustav nearly caps himself. And then there's more hostile zone after that. Now we're at the more hostile zone after that. And it's great. This dungeon is fantastic, or this zone is fantastic. First things first is we see 68's boat, says Gustav, and there's a path through it. Lune has a quote that I don't really understand. That anchor doesn't look man-made. Nate, do you have any idea what that means?
Yeah, I wonder if the paintress has, I mean, we're kind of seeing it with the Nevrons here. So every zone, like this is water zone. This zone's amazing and I love it. And there's nothing I would change a single thing about it. But I hope we don't fall into the trap of video game has water zone, fire zone. Storm, so I hope we're not going in that direction. I want to see like different concepts embodied here, but in this one at the very least, if there's a water zone and this is the land that the paintress has painted, as we've seen plenty of googly stone people in the structure of the land itself, you know, I'm feeling like there's an intentionality of Flying Waters is here because somebody wanted it to be here. If we're fighting off the people trying to kill the paintress and they're getting to a space where they've arrived at the Flying Waters, as we've seen Expedition 68 has, then does the Flying Waters respond with Nevrons of its design and its intention to fight back? In other words, that anchor doesn't look man-made. There's like a boat, pirate, Nevron force, underwater guys, like the little dudes with the diving helmets and the mines that they hold like little parade balloons.
Yes. You can explode them, by the way, with a ranged attack.
Yeah, I shoot at everything now. Ever since that first tutorial, even things that don't have like a glowing weak spot, I'm like, I don't know, that might be a weak spot. So I shoot everything when I first meet them.
It's probably a good policy.
Try it out. It's fun. But yeah, so I think there's some sense behind what she's saying of the enemy forces here that took out Expedition 68 are all going to be like water-themed Nevrons of some kind. And a giant anchor is part of that.
But not very far in, we find a neutral Nevron that Gustav infers might be grateful if we gave it a mine that it could attach to its chain. Wild conclusion to make. I couldn't find it at first, but after I completed the zone, I came back and I found it. And it's a quest just like the other guy with looking for the flammable material for his torch on a stick.
Right.
You get a weapon, a Demonarium for Lune. Nate, were you virtuous? Were you a paragon? And did you keep him alive? Or did you kill him?
I did not kill him.
Oh my God.
I did not kill him. I'm feeling a Bioshock moment here. Ding 2 for Bioshock being mentioned again in this episode. So, you know how you can harvest the little sister for power? That's effectively what you did here. There was an innocent Nevron standing. He just wanted his mind back because that's part of his being, who he is. You gave it to him. You gave him a brief moment of happiness in the remaining seconds of his life after you brutally murdered him for your own profit. And I'm not so heartless as you, but I've come to learn that there might be a schism between you and me after you told me the tale of how you murdered your own party member when playing Romancing Saga. And I've been harrowed by it ever since, and I'm seeing more of it now.
That's very funny. Yeah, I'm a cruel guy. You know, in my heart of hearts, I'm pretty nefarious.
You're willing to pave the road for the ones who come after quite gleefully, actually, now that I think about it.
I guess so.
Get on that road.
I didn't know I was supposed to have compassion for Neverons, excuse me. Anyway, and if it makes you feel any better, Mael browbeats the player by saying, "So much for trying to help." So if it makes you feel any better, Mael helped me feel a little worse.
You're the one that's saying, like, to the expedition members, all right, lay down. It's time to pave this road.
Yes.
Get to paving.
Get to paving. Later on, I find an augmented aim picto. It gives speed, crit, and 50% increased free aim damage. I love this on Gustav because I've built Gustav to be a marker and a ranged attack guy. And so this is leaning into it perfectly. I love it.
Yeah, he's cool because he's got the pistol. Luna's just firing additional spells when she shoots. But I'm also noticing when I equip new items on Gustav, his, like, one of the swords he has like a fish fin on it, but the gun also has a, like, the same kind of bladed fish fin that his sword does. And it made me think, have I been missing instances? Is he wielding a gun blade here? And I just haven't noticed him taking swipes with his dagger gun thing. I've looked since, and I haven't seen him use it like that. And I don't know that I see... All I see now that I have these new weapons is they have, like, some sort of augmented thing on the little gun that he holds. So I don't know if it has, like, a Shiva guy potential as well, but we'll see.
Well, we've established that Guillaume Broche, head developer of head guy of Sandfall, one of his favorite games is Final Fantasy VIII. So you might see a little Gunblade Easter egg as we play this game. Keep an eye out for it. Call it out when you see it, Nate.
Yeah, we'll do.
How about those heavies? The crawler enemies.
As I was saying before, when we were on the world map, I was like, I just love actually just like playing the combat of this game. There's RPGs of old where it's like the world, the characters, the story, everything is great, but then combat can kind of be a drag. Whereas this one, it's like, I really just love being in combat in this game. And I think the 3 crawler fight here you're talking about, and I'll let you kind of explain what that is. But like that was a moment to me. I'm like, ooh, damn, I'm thinking. I'm stewing on this one, you know?
Yeah, they're big boys. They're big heavies. They have shields. I don't know if we talked about the shield function, but some enemies have shields, and what that means is you have to shields can have layers. And every time you deal damage to a target that has a shield, it removes one of those shields, agnostic of how much damage that attack that shed a layer of shield dealt. If you dealt, I assume, more than 0 damage, maybe it did just deal 0 damage. I haven't seen a 0 damage attack yet in this game. It removes one of those layers. And so crawlers, big heavy boys, swinging clubs, they can shield themselves. And in another paint cage room, we get into a fight where there's 3 colors and they can shield one another, and they're beefcakes. I thought their club combo was pretty easy to dodge, but the 3 crawler fight was a skill test. I thought that took longer than the average fight because of, well, you know, they're shielding one another.
Right. And I think I stumbled upon something here. I might be incorrect, but I'm just going to lay it out quick. You know, this effect where like you're dodging, you dodge too quickly and then you kind of panic and you hit dodge again, hoping you're going to still nail it as the swing's coming out. I don't know if that's your experience. That's mine of like, oh shit, I dodged way too fast. Maybe I can, no, I'm too slow. I got smacked, right? It's happened twice now where in my panic button, instead of doing the second dodge, I smashed the parry button after I realized I dodged too fast. The guy's still winding up his swing, and the parry actually works before my character has like reset their feet on the ground from the dodge, and it gives me credit for the parry.
Really?
Right. So I don't know if I'm correct on that, if that's actually a technique of if you misjudge the dodge, you can still parry, or if I just managed to like nail it on the first like possible frame of when you technically can act again. I don't know. I'm going to practice this some more, but that's potentially a high level technique of kind of throw out your dodge, maybe do it a little bit early if you're unsure of the attack pattern. Just try it and then follow up immediately with parry. I don't know. I feel like I saw it happen twice and I was like, oh, damn.
I'll try that. Oh my God. If you can reduce the amount of self CC frames from an early dodge, that's huge. And not just reduce, but but counterattack potentially on top of it. That could be massive. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't stress tested it yet, but that fight, it happened. I was like, oh, what? Wait a second. So, yeah.
Nate, was there a spot where you thought you could ascend an incline made out of pots?
Were they like in the air potentially? Like
Yes.
jumping? Yes. I believe I did that.
I couldn't get up there. Could you get up there?
I would have to look through the footage, but I remember you bringing it up. I will say this. I felt like I spent so much time in the zone, enjoying my time in the zone, and I feel like I 100%ed the place as much as it was possible to. So I'm going to say yes, I did it.
Cool. There's another journal here. This isn't Gustav's journal. This is the journal of other expeditions, a data tape that plays when you pick it up. An expeditioner named Elodie, which Gustav referenced once we got into the zone. Elodie says that their ship was caught in a storm, summoned by the Paintress, but they braved the storm, landing here in this lake, I guess, and engaged in a fight which they handily slaughtered Nevron, saying it was an ink bath. I love that phrase. It was an ink bath, Nate.
I love it.
But, quote, this new one looks tougher than the others. In the next room, what's standing in our way but a giant Nevron? I guess Expedition 68 encountered this giant Nevron or a giant Nevron like this. We see more than one in this zone. Beastly, humanoid. I can't get a really good look at it without getting dangerously close, or what I suspect is within aggro range. Not that I tested that limit, but you can't really. He's big and hulking and humanoid, and that's about as much as I can say about him.
Right. So I have a question here. We got a journal from Expedition 68. All of our save points are going to be previous expedition flags. I'm assuming, unless this game throws us for more loops, let's just theorize here. We're at the bottom of the tree. We're at the end of the game where the Paintress is sleeping before she gets up to paint her 33. She's about to do a 32, right?
Mm-hmm.
What flag is sitting 10 feet away from the Paintress's lair? Like which expedition got this close? Is it 1 or like 5? I'm wondering, what do you think on that?
I think they established that in the prologue with somebody who said Expedition 0 was not just the first expedition, but the only expedition that reached the monolith.
Oh, reached the monolith. Okay, right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm correlating the two now with the flags and everything. So, all right. We do have precedent then to expect flags throughout the rest of the game, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So about that giant Nevron that you didn't fight, I fought him.
You fought him?
Yeah.
Wow.
His name is Bourgeon. I'm going to say Bourgeon.
Bourgeon.
I do not know how to say French words. So the zone, this section of the zone introduces him with like, there's this huge, massive one that is like, you would be tickling its toenails if you fought the one that's off on the horizon. Then there's a smaller version of him in an alley that yells at you. And my first thought was like, okay, don't fight this. The plot is telling me not to fight him. But I then went back and fought him. Immediately, he eats a party member, which is Gustav. And then it's 2v1. And then he does a lot of puking like seaweed on people. And if they get hit by it, they cannot earn any AP for the rest of the turn, their next turn. And then it's cleared after they take an action or like complete a full turn. And you'll get the hang of how to dodge it. It's pretty, once you see its like flight trajectory and speed, you'll be able to dodge them pretty easily. But yeah, there's a couple times. The problem is he spits like 5 of them. So you got to hit the rhythm down with it. Eventually, I got him down to about 25% health. He also does a lot of like smacking you around, just running up and hitting you with his hands. He does enough damage, but it's not like the chromatic fights. The first one where it's just like, if you don't dodge, you're dead. I get him down to about 25% health, and then he eats a second person, which was Mael. So now I'm just Lune 1v1. It was tough, but doable. And like I said, his attacks weren't like one-shotting me, and I felt like I had tools to handle what was happening. So the reward was a Picto called Augmented Counter 1, 25% increased counter attack damage. I don't know how much I'm going to use that one.
Interesting.
There's also a unique battle track that's incredible. The zone has its own music, and then battle music kind of accents it in a way. It's definitely different music. So this is more like what I would clarify call like an edgier version of the existing zone battle track. This is pretty great.
Cool. Well, I'll have to go back and do that.
Yeah, do it. I think it's doable.
Shit, Nate. The next sub-area of the zone is called the Luminarian Streets. It looks like we're in Lumiere at the bottom of a lake, flooded.
Yeah. And I'm going to confirm to you that you are in Lumiere at the bottom of a lake flooded because you can find a pillar with like a sculpture on the top of it. But along the pillar, it's wrapped in pages of newspaper. And the resolution on it is good enough that you can go up and read the newspapers. One of them is the Gazette des Lumières, and then another one is the Le Lumiérien. One of the covers reads Le Grand Café des Lumières. I can't do this. Pronounce this correct. Ouvre ses portes. But so yeah, I just butchered that. But I'm going to guess that means just reading it and knowing some version of how languages have evolved. I guess that read as the Grand Café of Lumiere opens its doors and ding, 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 I was right. Read it correctly. Portes being port or door, and then kind of piecing the other pieces together. I did not know what ouvre means, but yeah. Anyway, so this seems like it's torn directly from Lumiere.
Weird.
Yeah.
So maybe it is, because there's room, I don't know if there's room to suggest this, but we've played games where it's like, this is an illusion weaved by the big bad getting in your head.
Right.
But do you think that this is just a rather unfortunate hunk of Lumiere that blew up when it burst out of the earth and landed in the ocean? This corner of Lumiere landed in the continent, back in the continent, into a lake.
Yeah, I'm going with option number 2 because we had that upside down building in the other zone that like told us nothing, or that looks like a chunk of a building just chucked and landed in a specific spot. That's my guess.
When we first walk into this area, there's an odd jumping Nevron, maybe 40 feet tall, that leaps into our path and then bounds away. We'll see him again at the end of this sub-area, where there's a large patch of red flowers that take the shape of a spiral. And we walk right through the center of it. Nate, if you are trekking through an alien landscape and you see a curious geometric pattern, large geometric pattern on the ground of any composition, of any material, would you tread right through that, over the center and past it?
You're in the kill box, basically, if you do that. There's no serpentining is your only technique at that point. There's no cover. So no. I mean, if we're talking real life, it's a big negative. But also, our characters wouldn't know this, but if I knew I was in a video game as well, entering that space, you would know I'm stepping into a boss fight right here.
Yes.
They've made ample space for a large figure to swing his shit around and not clip with other environmental hazards. So I'm definitely stepping into a boss fight right now. So on both of those metrics, whether I'm a real person or I know I'm in a video game, I am not approaching.
You're not approaching, but Gustav has enough self-awareness to pick a flower from the spiral, wind up music box. Music plays. We get a glimpse of Sophie disintegrating into flowers like we saw in the prologue. But nobody acknowledges it. It's probably a memory. And that jumping Nevron from earlier startles and reacts and approaches us, like bounds into our space. And Lune wonders if it has anything to do with Gustav picking that flower. Maybe it's tending to this flower. Big, barrel-bodied humanoid, enormous red mane, red like the flowers perhaps. And recall that red flowers symbolized gommage sufferers of Lumiere. And for a face, he's got a column of 3 Studio Ghibli style kabuki masks.
Right.
And a fight breaks out. This is a boss fight. His name is Blue. He's got a triple jump, a 2-hit melee combo, and he spawns red and blue glowing blossoms that you need to take out before something happens. I never saw what the something that happens. So I had to look it up, and I guess blue blossoms eventually grant Go Blue shields, and red blossoms buff its attack damage.
I did manage to miss one of them and see what happens. I think it was the blue one.
The strategy of the fight is banking AP to take out these flowers. You probably in your head, you have a skill rotation in mind, but as any good boss fight has, there's something that's going to trouble those ideal circumstances, the ideal skill rotation. And right now you need to expend up to 4 AP to cancel out these blossoms that are going to buff your boss here.
Now, it's interesting, like you talked about the shielding aspect of like this trivial thing of like, you can just pop it with a gunshot, right? But this was a fight where, no, it was actually one of the big boys. But I will point this out. The marking of a target is something that amplifies the next instance of an attack against it. So if you've set up a chain to mark something and suddenly it gets a shield, you're fucked. You lost your damage buff on that one.
Really?
It can be an incredibly simple thing to deal with, or it can also be very beneficial to the boss because you're thinking, all right, I've got my mark, I've got my L in this stance, yada yada, I'm ready to go. And oh shit.
How interesting.
The next thing I do to him is completely irrelevant when I do it.
Good to know. I'll have to account for that as the game develops and battles get more complex.
You can pop these flowers with one shot, which means that's 1 AP. And so you kind of look at your character list and see, all right, I could still do an ability with 4 AP and I have 6. So I'll take out 2 flowers with them, do my thing, next character, the other 2 flowers, etc. Except
in the final phase, he spawns twice as many flowers, which I take that as an invitation to damage race to the end of the boss fight rather than spend AP taking out twice as many blossoms as they did in earlier phases.
Right. And I think it's actually more than twice as many because I did try and take them all out. And I found out there is one behind him. So he's kind of a cheater. It was like basically, what's the word? Perpendicular to his arm. There's no way I'm actually shooting the flower. I can see it. I can see the glow, but you'd have to clip it by a pixel, not hit the arm. And that's the one he got off on me because I did not damage race him to pre-flower pop.
Interesting.
I tried to take him out.
Okay.
What do you think? You like the boss?
I did. I had a lot of fun with this boss. He beat me on my first attempt. I wasn't ready for the triple jump.
All right.
But on the second attempt, I nailed the first. Because first round, he does the double jump. My sense is that he'll do that every first turn, every attempt. And on my second one, I dodged all 3 of them. And I thought, okay, this is going a lot better. And it did.
Yeah. We also, I don't know if we mentioned, when we have like the party jump icon that we have to not get hit by, when you land it, you get like a free reaction shot where it's just this really cool moment where everybody, granted Lune doesn't have a pistol, but like everybody shoots their pistol all at once. It's like akin to like the overcharge bashing in the face. It's just this really like satisfying visceral response of like,
yeah, it is.
I love stuff like that where like you're asked to do something extra and the reward you get for it is cool. So yeah, I love the boss too, but guess what? This boss's music. Okay, I've been talking about music lately and like I'm doing this thing where I say, yeah, it's good. I have to talk about this one. This is one of the best tracks I've heard in the game so far. And it's not necessarily like my preferred, this is my style of music that I love, but it just like hits so hard during an incredible boss fight. I'm going to say for a game that we sat around watching it win multiple awards, one of them being music last recording session we did, I'm going to say it deserves its Doritos that it won. The boss track has energetic orchestral music, and that's pretty typical to the game and other fantasy genre games, but then it's accented with thumping deep bass lines that pump you up full of energy while you're playing, and then there's these interjections from sharp synth noises. Kind of reminds me of like a 90s EDM mixes. And I don't know, did you ever, maybe this isn't in your consciousness, but there was a original soundtrack to the Mortal Kombat movie, which was like kind of a big deal. People say the soundtrack of that movie is better than the actual movie itself.
They might be right about that. I have a memory of the theme song of that, for lack of better phrasing. I remember that being like a fitness song, something that you would like do jumping jacks to or something.
Yeah, so that CD had a lot of like EDM, trance, like 90s shit in it, and also like mixed in with like metal and hard rock stuff. So has one of my favorite songs of all time, which is Zero Signal by Fear Factory. Just hits me at every level that I like, but it reminds me of the like gated trance synth noises from Mortal Kombat mixed in with orchestral music while you're like thumping along, beating the shit out of this guy. He's beating the shit out of you. And like everything, you just get these interjections where like the song doesn't let you settle. And so it's this yin yang relationship of old, new, and kind of what we're experiencing with the game itself. Like we're playing an old RPG, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're playing the classics, a turn-based battle system. And yet it's not just turn-based. We have these action reactions. We have all of these new elements mixed in, and the music is in perfect harmony with everything I feel about this game. It's old, it's new, it's everything all at once. So
It's so good.
yeah.
After the fight, Lune halts Gustav from making the killing blow because, well, not because, but Mael senses something inside Goblu and has a moment getting a read on that before Goblu jumps away. She says, "It felt familiar somehow." Goblu, "Don't know what that means just yet. Probably has something to do with the flowers and the connection to people disintegrating into petals during the Gommage and stuff." For the fight, we get a Shape of Health. I'll talk about what a Shape of Health is once we get into a little bit later. Polished Chroma Catalyst, another Chroma Catalyst. We'll talk about all of that as we re-meet the Curator. At this point, I've left the zone. Nate, did you have any more business in Flying Waters?
Well, like I said, I think I pretty much 100%ed the place. So you might want to dip your toes back in the pool, buddy. There's a Chromatic Troubadour.
Huh.
If that sounds like what you're thinking it is what you're thinking it is. It is another one of the "this dude will destroy you" fights of the chromatic guy we found earlier.
Yes.
He's a dancing Nevron with peg legs, a big cloak, and a giant like emblem shield thing on his head, as we've seen other Nevrons have, and a big ass straight pipe horn. I don't even know what kind of trumpet horn object to equate this to, because he straight up holds it like a weapon resting it on his shoulder, like a warrior holding a two-hander, and he does the cool pose where he just swings it over his shoulder. He's doing that with his musical instrument because it's so big.
Oh boy.
He will run up and bash you in the face while holding it to his face and tooting it. So like he'll run up and do an attack and I'll be while he's smacking you.
Really?
Yeah, and you will probably die. And he has another attack pattern, which is like difficult to learn. He will toot the horn and 2 energy balls will float over him. And then he comes up to melee you and the energy balls will swing in and attack you while he's swinging his thing as well. So the timing of it is not straightforward. It's not like, oh, here's a ball, it's coming at you. You have to keep your eye on the ball while keeping your eye on him swinging at you as well. So that one's fun. But I will say I had a little bit better of a time with this chromatic dude than the previous one, simply because with 3 characters in the party, more pictos, more moves unlocked, I have more options of what I do. It's not just always dodge, hit hard like it was in the last one. We have shields we can put up with Mael to mean you won't get one shot. You still need to dodge pretty much everything as much as you possibly can. But if you do a fuck up, you aren't necessarily fully dead. You might be at 20% health if you had Mael's shields on you. We have the marks combos we can do that I utilized. We have a lot more with the damage buff that Gustav can perform as well. So there's more tools in your kit this time around than the previous one. And so it still took me probably 4 or 5 times. I didn't count. It wasn't that feeling of like, oh my God, I need to master every single interaction of this. It was this feeling of like, all right, he's going to do some shit. I'm going to do some shit. We're going to see who comes out on top. And it was really fun. So yeah, go find him and give it a shot. See what you think.
I'll do that, Nate.
The reward for that is it's called a Troubadim. It's a weapon for Lune. Weapon perks, which is a thing we're going to start encountering more of. We haven't done that much, but level 4, free aim shots deal damage to an additional random target, Tyler.
Huh.
So you might be interested in that one. I don't know if Lune's your free aim person, but she does have the ability to apparently spec into that. Now, if we get to level 10 at some point down the road, 50% more free aim damage. Level 20, generate a random stain on free aim shot. So she could be a character that you run in, you do your free aims, you see what stains you build, and then you drop a fat stained whatever move is most augmented by it, you're kind of like, you're almost like a Russian roulette character or something. Maybe not Russian roulette, but like a roulette character of like, all right, let's see what we get. Let's pop some free aims out there and see what we have. You know, that'd be pretty interesting.
That is super cool. Neat, Nate. I'll have to come back and get the Chromatic Troubadour. Splitting from the Zone title card. Mael's Nightmare. Cutscene. Gray tones or grayscale. We're in outdoors. Seems like we're in the middle of a battle. There's fire burning in places. People are running. We get a flash of Gustav's sword and of Luna running to someone on the ground. Mael is observing this, and Gustav turns to look at her and looks very dark, very threatening, and cast in shadow. He looks like Darth Vader. Mael steps back and raises her sword to him defensively, and then we cut to another Mael who is in front of the paintress and the monolith, the glowing number 33, and falls to her knees clutching a ribbon, screaming. End.
Right. Shulk moment. Shulk alert. Tyler, we're having a Shulk moment. Are you ready for...
What's wrong with Gustav?
Are you ready for more of these? Are you ready to change fate, Tyler?
I guess so.
You loved it so much.
I'm here. I mean, we're here to change fate, aren't we? Here to break the curse. It's not our fault.
There you go.
That's what we picked.
It's the RPG convention we can't escape.
We go camping again. And it begins with a conversation between Mael and Gustav. It's twilight out. Mael stands at a cliff observing the glowing 33. We've seen her solo glowering at the monolith alone a lot in this game already. There's something there. Gustav throws a rock. Still too short, referencing the first scene of the game. Death out here is not like death in Lumiere. That's the insidious thing about the Gamage, says Gustav. It's predictable, almost gentle, but it is equally violent, and death is just as final. Turning to Mael, he says, if death approaches, promise me you'll run. Maybe that man at the beach. He's death incarnate, isn't he? Especially if you meet that man at the beach. And Mael kind of chuckles and says, only if you do the same. And broken tension again. We have a nice giggle together. Oh, I'm running as soon as I see a strand of white hair. Trust me. I love it. The highs and lows of just casual conversation is so cool in this game. There was a time when 30 was young, says Gustav. And Mael says, ha, sure.
Yeah, we're in a camp. We just had a vision and now we're sitting by a bonfire. Imagine that.
By a bonfire. We like our bonfires in games. It's emotionally centering, isn't it? And it has functions as well. I mean, we talked about, writing in journals and stuff, but the curator is here and he's going to facilitate upgrading weapons and expedition resources. And I'm going to walk listeners through that really quickly here. So here's everything that the curator can do at this point in the game. He can increase Lumina points for characters. It costs 1 color of Lumina for 1 Lumina point. And a tooltip tells us that there's no limit to the amount of Lumina points a character can have. The curator can also improve tints by increasing their potency. Different tints can be improved by different items. These are for example, the shape of health item that we got from defeating Goblu. That improves our small healing tint, and the shape of energy improves our small energy tint, and so on. Each tint can be improved twice, which sounds like not very much, but then again, we have a small healing tint, which postulates that maybe there's a medium healing tint and a super powered healing tint, and each can be improved twice. The curator can also upgrade weapons, but before we get at upgrading weapons, I want to talk about a couple other things first. Weapons' passive effects cannot be learned as Illumina, which is, I know I say this a lot, which is an invitation to strategize characters' builds by swapping in and out weapons that have the most preferable passives and stats. Weapons can scale based on different stats, so you'll want to factor in which stats you're pumping into each character when they level up, because that correlates to the coefficient of the damage output or the stat increase in question that the weapon has on it. The degree to which a stat scales on a weapon is scored from D to S, meaning probably D, C, B, A, S, and not D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. But you can also use a recode item to reset a character's skill points too if you wanted to go in a different direction. You can use Chroma Catalyst type items to increase a weapon's level. Leveling up a weapon increases its attack power and attribute scaling, and may unlock a new passive effect at, quote, specific rarity levels, which I take to mean different thresholds of catalyst type items.
I railed against the Final Fantasy VII remake, the first one.
Yeah.
That like cosmic tree of upgrades where effectively after poking around with it in 2 playthroughs of the game, it's like it's either basically stat go up or get materia slot. Even the like perk type things of like 5% more critical damage, it's like that's kind of still just stat go up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And some of these are that, like 50% more free aim damage, sure, but additional free aim target or free aim makes a stain, that changes how I play. That is what I want to see out of progression, because it's like in a lot of these games with like leveling, you level up, your enemies level up, it's effectively zero sum. You're just trying to do more of it before they do more of it. And that is the grind of an RPG. I don't find that particularly interesting. And yet still a lot of games do that to this day. Whereas here I'm loving everything I see of it. Even if I am the faux Julia Roberts math meme, like I don't care. Like that's what I want, you know. As you would say, the chin stroking strategy of it all is super intriguing to me. I love seeing stuff like that. So this is really cool.
There are a couple other things we can do here camping before we go. One of which is check up on the others. This wasn't an option in the prior camp, but we can, when selecting that, in my case, I got an optional scene with Lune. Did you do this scene, Nate?
Yep.
Is she playing guitar and really excited to see a gestural?
She is.
I can't believe they exist. I mean, what other fairy tales are real? This is Gustav's quote, actually. So denizens of Lumiere already have a sense of what gestrels are. They seem like there's some sort of fictional creature. It'd be like you or I or listeners finding out that fairies exist and we're going to go to a fairy village tomorrow and talk to its chef.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so if that was my reality, I guess I'd have a sleepless night, really excited that I'm only a partial day's walk away to this rare human experience of mythological proportions. Lune's just beside herself with excitement about that.
Yeah, and if Expedition Zero was the only one that had people that came back, then their stories, let me think, that's 67 years ago? Their stories of whatever they saw on the continent are, I don't know if you mythologize something over the course of 67 years, but I guess you could. Like, so they would have all these, like, I saw a gestural and it did this or whatever. And so she'd be growing up with, like, my grandpa saw gestrals, like, and so you question, did he actually see that? Or was he just telling tall tales or whatever? I would tend to think you would believe it. I don't know that something becomes fairy tale in 67 years. But if it were 300 years, which obviously is not the confines of this game, then I think someone doing an expedition 300 years ago and saying, I bet fairies, you're like, I don't know if that actually happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm again questioning time passage. Like the building of Midgar was not long enough for me.
Midgar was not built in 40 years.
Right.
But it was according to the Ultimania, which is the factual foundational resource book we should all be leaning on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They also reconnect talking about the conversation from the prior camping event. You seem better than before. Yeah, I'm holding it back together. Shocks worn off a bit. We can't bring anybody back, but we can keep their spirit alive by pushing forward. And there's 3 of us now. The mission hasn't changed. So Gustav is more resolved and realigned with the mission than he was in the camp before getting to flying waters. We can also write in our journal as well. Second time, Gustav finds a spot where he can be alone, writes in his journal. This time he talks about or writes about how the arm they created for him was incredibly useful against water-type Nevrons. I guess enemies in flying waters are weak to lightning, but I had Gustav marking duty predominantly. Also, did the kids make his arm? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that there's more apprentices in their little group than just the kids, potentially.
That makes some sense. Well, I mean, I can believe that, but can a crowd of kids make a techno-magical appendage?
Who knows? Crazy world.
Maybe.
But yeah, to validate what you're saying, his overcharge is lightning based, so you will absolutely destroy anything here if you manage to build up an overcharge with him.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I suppose Gustav could have created his own arm and had apprentices help him, which would and because he's a sweet guy, because he wants to build up these kids, he's returning the credit of that invention to them, even if hypothetically maybe was predominantly him. Doesn't matter, but
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess in your game, he's a dirty liar because you never used it. But in mine, it's canon.
no, that's not true. I recharged, I think on the boss, overcharged on the boss once because I was earning, all of the marking I was doing was earning me overcharge charge.
Yeah.
And I was at max at one turn. I just used it, I think.
Yeah.
So, but then again,
You wanted to talk about your build, right?
what's that?
You wanted to talk about your build at one point.
Oh, well, Mael, I told you about the synergy of Mael doing Percier on a marked target. Predominantly when I'm building Mael, I don't have a particular like corner. I don't even know what all the corners of her build options are yet. I guess I'm just trying to get her to virtuous stance as soon as possible and applying Pierce on a marked target. Oh, something did change with Lune, though. I assume you're going in a different corner of the build out, but I've unlocked an Earth skill that does damage to all targets. And so if I've been building out the attack damage output of Lune, and if I've got a marker, and if I've got another damage dealer now for a total of 3, what I've been trying to do is spread out damage across the party so that when Lune's turn comes up, which tends to be last, she finishes the fight. She's cleaning up everybody's health bars because we've chipped at them in advance of her turn.
Interesting. Yeah, I might have that ability, but I think the abilities scale where they basically want you to unlock like a full kit of everything almost immediately because everything's cheap. And then after that, things are like 4, 5, 6 skill points a pop. So you kind of have to choose, all right, actually, which direction am I going with this character? Whereas it's pretty cheap to give them a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You told me you wanted to hear about my build. My build is I have no freaking clue what I'm doing or am attempting to figure it out right now because I have this. It's like this. I have a medical professional who's diagnosed me with OCD, right? I have all of these pictos in my inventory and not all of them are learned. That takes precedent over anything else. And so maintaining my build comes second to getting all of those pictos off of the unlearned list and onto the mastered/learned list. So right now, Lune is my, I don't know what the right word is, workhorse learning pictos. She just gets equipped with whatever isn't mastered yet. Gustav, I've been building him the kind of warrior archetype, but also he's been doing marking and buffing with the attack damage move he has.
Cool.
And then Mael's got shields, and she has one that I forget what the criteria it is, but she's in virtuous stance. And if you do it under certain criteria, it's a damaging move, but she will just stay in virtuous stance and she can chain it nonstop. If other people are giving her the correct criteria, I'd have to look up what it is, but that's really interesting. And I've been trying to facilitate that with her. So there is some rhyme or reason to what I do. And then the other thing is that because Lune can drop burns on something, I also have the ability to skip a step in Mael's chain to get to a virtuous stance.
Right.
Because the target's already on fire. So yeah, Lune's been still burning. She has an AoE fire ability. I've not been using the earth one. And I think it has a chance to put burn on things too. Don't quote me on that. It's weird because we're underwater and I'm burning everything.
We're going to take a break here. And next time we're going to the ancient sanctuary to visit the Gestural village and talk to the chef. What was that guy's name again?
I lost track.
No code called him Golgra.
Golgra.
Not to be confused with Golbu.
Yeah.
And that's at the ancient sanctuary with the red trees. So I expect we'll cover that zone next episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been a production of Gunblade Guys. That's us, Tyler and Nate. You should think about liking us, subscribing to us, 5-starring us, writing a review about us, and telling a fellow game liker about us as well. Join the conversation with fellow fans on our Discord, from which you can find a link to join on our podcast description page. And you can also tip us if you please with a link over there as well. Find us on Twitch and YouTube under the name Gunblade Guys, and email us at gunbladeguys@gmail.com. Nate, what do you think a gestural looks like?
Gestural. You know what? You were talking about gesture. I'm going to go with Jester. I'm going to say we're going to see some sort of clown character.
Okay.
It's clown-esque character.
And I'm going to say, I think a gestural is going to be a hand thing. I think we're going to have a hamburger helper cartoon character boy.
The master hand from Smash Brothers is.
Oh,
there.
yeah. Wait, you said clown. Like, isn't the hamburger helper guy kind of clown-like? He's got a red nose, maybe?
He does.
I hope I'm wrong. I better be wrong. We better go.
Yeah. All right.
Bye, everybody.
See you later. I still rock the Good Baby, even with a 5-year-old.
The Good Baby?
Yeah, the monitor? Or Hello Baby, I guess it's called now.
Oh, oh, sure, the monitor. No.
I still rock that with a 5-year-old, not because he needs it. He can get up and fend on his own and go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, all that stuff all by himself. But like even just knowing the temperature in the room and like what's going on, what he's up to, it's helpful.
I'll have to check out this Fear Factory song. I don't know the first thing about Fear Factory, but it sounds cool.
You may not like it. It comes off very pedestrian when you first listen to it, but maybe pull up the lyrics to it while you're listening and just get in the headspace of, yes, there is teen angst, but then there's a kind of angst and questioning of life that transcends being a teenager and sticks with you in your gut for most of your life. And I feel like this song tapped into that aspect of me. There's a lot of music I listened to when I was a kid, a lot of rock and metal I listened to where I go back and I'm like, God, this is terrible. This sucks. And this is not one of them. So yeah.
Cool. I'll do that.
Missed the part where she said, I think something along the lines of like, with those knees, you're going to run.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
I mean, and I feel it. My knees are basically done forever. So
with those knees, Nate,
I ain't running from shit. I want to know who's the first person to kind of coin S as the ultimate rank of anything. Does it mean super? Do you have any suggestion on that? Why is S the top? I mean, in school, I don't get an S on my test. I get an A, and then you're done.
Special, superlative.
Special.
Or the Japanese word for excellent is shu.
Really?
Representing a level of power or quality that surpasses the standard A grade.
So it's a Japanese thing.
Possibly.
In the gaming space, that makes sense. In the rest of the world, if I saw an S rank on anything else, it would not make sense. But in video games, yes, I will concede that.
Yeah, you were trying to get the R tier, but you fell to S tier.
Exactly.
And someday you'll get to the Q tier.
Well, now they have like games where it's like you got S++ or something. It's like, please stop.
Yeah.
Give me the A. Give me the 100%. I've achieved the maximum thing. Anyway, whatever.
I'm into it.
Hell yeah. And I'll say something quick here too, Tyler, about this game. I don't like doing this podcast. You know why?
Why?
Because I have to stop playing the game. I have to take a break. Get my notes down. Wait for the next time we can record all this when like this game, I mean, and I liked Xenoblade, but like after doing Ep.3, right? I'm ready to play something else, for example. But this game, damn, I gotta stop. Shit, I want to go there. Let's go there.
Yeah.
There is a downside to having the podcast revolve around this game. Is like for the health of my brain and not getting details mixed up and smushed together, it is the best option is to take a break and jot down our notes and everything and then wait for the recording. But I'm like, damn it, I really want to play.
I feel you, man.
If it were any other game, I would probably binge this and like have beaten it in a week.
Yeah, probably.
It's that good.